All right, this is Nick Marine, and welcome to Let's Read Japanese, a course series for the reading of Japanese text alongside its audio counterpart. Today's episode is ki no何食べた, episode 8 of 12 episodes, or 2/3 of the way through. I did watch this a couple times, so I think it's going to be a very good episode. It might get a little emotional, but again, this entire series I think has pretty much been generally good for all ages, as opposed to like Shinya Shokudo, which can be definitely much mature in the themes that are presented. All right, so if you enjoy this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and a like. If you like the series I'm doing, you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. This is part of the Let's Learn Japanese project. If you haven't, if you like what I'm doing with that project, supporting the Japanese learning community, there is a Patreon for that, links below. Finally, there's links to the Let's Learn Japanese website that Otaku Day put together, the community Discord. And finally, if you'd like to hire me on commission, the hourly rates and the payment is also done through Patreon. And usually it's for technical assistance, advice. Mostly people who hire me for that is just to, get them started. Getting everything kind of help set up and walk them through a lot of the things. It can be a little confusing the first time you do it. Then after that, they're pretty much good to go. Don't need my help after that. Again, most of this is set up the idea of like setting people up to do self-study. So here's all the resources to help you study Japanese on your own. And then once you do that, it's all about the number of hours that you put into it. And we're talking about a lot of hours, hundreds of hours worth of self-study, thousands of hours worth of immersion. What I'm doing here is basically a form of immersion, where again, you're reading along to the audio. Again, so this is reading, not listening. But the benefit's going to be, I think I've mentioned the long introduction, is that when you do a reading like this, because you're looking up the words you don't know, you're replaying audio and rereading sentences. If you don't quite get what the sentence is saying the first time around, you got a much higher comprehension of the story than that will carry on if you then watch the video as it's normally meant to be watched. Let's say just watch it on regular TV or on big screen, maybe with Japanese subtitles, maybe without, but you just got a much higher level of comprehension. Even than if you ever would get if you just watched it 5 times through on its own. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, with that, let's get started. Got a comment from Antonio Bravo about I'll post that usually on the Let's Read or the Let's Learn or the Learn Japanese subreddit, then remove the link afterwards when I'm done with the live stream. Okay, let's get started. Hopefully it's not too boring for you. There's a level the way I would say is like these are probably most enjoyable for people who are around high end 3, low end 2 level. It probably has a vocabulary around the 6,000, 8,000 range, if that makes sense. Alrighty, dressed up.
ここしかなかったの。うん。4人って言ったらここしか。今から帰られないかな。個室とかせめて少し端の。
よし君、こっちです。
Started to be very public about it.
どうも。
So again, I did like how it, Kakei, where Kenji just wants to be very public about the relationship, and Shiro still wants to be private.
こんばんは。
すいませんね、金曜の夜に。いいえ、どうぞ。失礼します。
待たせちゃいました？
So yeah, it's Nakashima.
もう全然。
I've seen this actor in quite a few dramas, never in a leading role, usually in a supporting or a guest role.
ここの塩はヒマラヤ岩塩かな？
ヒマラヤ Himalayas. この塩、ヒマラヤ。
ここの塩はヒマラヤ岩塩かな？
ヒマラヤ岩塩。Rock salt. ヒマラヤ岩塩。
ここの塩はヒマラヤ岩塩かな？
ヒマラヤ岩塩。
悪くないな。
私最近料理の食材はもちろんね、調味料も全部オーガニックに変えたんですよ。
全部？けどよし君そこまでこだわるとお金かかんない？まあけどよし君そこまでこだわるとお金かかんない？
まあ食材は多少かかるね。でも基本一人暮らしだから量も少ないし。
Let's see what that means. Shidagara. Togarashi. Oh, no. Completely misread that.
でも基本一人暮らしだから量も少ないし、調味料はさほど使わないからね。
まあね。よし君は買い物が上手なんだよね。セール品なんかもうまく使ってるし。これ美味しいよし君。ついてる。
絶対そうだって思われてる。
一緒に住めば経済的に助かることは多いと思うんだけどね。経済的に助かることは多いと思うんだけどね。哲さんがなかなかうんって言ってくれなくて。
絶対そうだよ。
さっき口拭いてたもんね。
筧さんはこういうのお口に合わなかったですかね。
ああ、いえ、いただいてます。
筧さんも料理得意だって伺ってるんですけど。
そうですか。筧氏は普段どんな料理を？私は最近オーブン料理にハマってましてね。
いや、ごく普通のこだわりも。
See, that's a full phrase. Frequently? Oh. ごく普通。
も何もないです。
私は最近オーブン料理にハマってましてね。
いや、ごく普通のこだわりも何もないです。
でもすっごい美味しいんだよ。
ケンジ、声大きいよ。
筧さん弁護士ですよね。お忙しいでしょうに。どういった分野がご専門？
全然。俺の場合忙しくはないです。
よし君セールとか行くの？洋服もセールとかで買ったりなんかするの？
買いますよ、気に入ったものなら。これもそうだよ。
へえ、それいいよ。顔つきすっごいいい。
だって
俺めちゃくちゃ感じ悪い。でもこの状況は無理だ。
俺なんかさ、今でも地元の俺なんかさ、今でも地元の
So here comes a little argument. And at least what I like about live action dramas is that they usually don't change the sign. So you get to see what Tokyo or the areas of Japan look like for real. Anime, they sometimes will, even the real detailed animes, they'll change the names of places. They'll keep the style, but they'll change the names.
シロさん怒ってる。
何が？
だって急によし君たちとのご飯会に呼び出しちゃったりしたからさ。いや、テツさんがね、シロさんに会いたかったみたいで。
全然。晩飯作る手間が省けてよかったよ。今日家に材料なかった。晩飯作る手間が省けてよかったよ。今日家に材料なかったし、あの店値段も手頃だったし。
でも俺たち
手頃？手でや。ちょうどよい。Lot of skill, conveniently sized hands. Okay. 手頃。
でも俺たち
あの店値段も手頃だったし。
でも俺たちあんだけ人いる中で結構ゲイテイスト満載な話しちゃったでしょ。
ゲイ テスト、満載な話しちゃ
中で結構ゲイテイスト満載な話しちゃったでしょ。調味料とか服とか一緒に住むとか。
それ今気にするなら最初から店選べよ。個室とか少しテーブルが離れたところにあるとか。
そうだね。最近小日向さんたちとも頻繁に会ってるから、よし君たちとも大丈夫かななんて思っちゃった。
2丁目のああいう店と普通の店は全然違うだろ。
I wonder why he's saying like Second Street. So,
2丁目のああいう店と普通の店は全然違うだろ。
see if that's a full phrase. I mean, this is Second Street in Chome. But, oh, Kabukicho. No, no. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, this is talk about the street.
ごめん。
なんでそこで謝んだよ。
Jeez.
お前
See, that's the problem. Like I said, is like when I first watched this, you just saw how angry he seems to be, and so you wonder like why they would be a couple. But really, he's just because he's been upset all night. He's kind of like venting now, even though he's saying he's not angry. He was angry, so that's very, yeah. So anytime someone says they're not angry, that doesn't mean don't take that at face value. Which normally you learn that's all usually the case anyway. You can't take at face value what an angry person says to you when an angry person says they're not angry.
お前はなんでそこで謝んだよ。お前は
だって
もういい。何も言うな。
Should be the intro now, right? I wonder why episode 6 had a different intro. Then they went back to this
これ
Momo.
で2000円ですか。
That's actually a really good price. Momo is very good. Peaches are a really good fruit.
1個170円。
ねえ、いい買い物したら。
I think at a restaurant we like going to, occasionally they'll have like a special, it's not technically a dessert, but it's like a peach slice with cream cheese wrapped in a ham, in nama and just a little bit of sauce. It just tastes amazing. So I kind of recommend that if you get a chance.
桃は毎ねえ、いい買い物したら。桃は毎年お中元でいただいてたんだけど。
Ochugen.
桃は毎年お中元でいただいてたんだけど、来なくなっちゃったの。もう楽しみにしてたのに。
どこも経費削減ですからね。
でも筧さんが半分買ってくれて助かった。どうしても食べたくて買ったんだけど、さすがに12個も食べきれないもん。
わかります。
Yeah, if you buy that much because it's cheaper, but you know, hopefully you split the load. And I think that's very common. Also, I think I don't know in the States, but definitely like go as a group to like Costco or something. You know, buy stuff in bulk, but then split the bulk between the groups. So again, you get the better prices. You still get a large amount that you want to use, but you don't have to like just have like something that would last you 2 years if you try to use it all on your own.
最近の果物ってすっごく甘いから1回食べるとたくさん食った気になって1個かそこらで満足しちゃうんですよね。1回食べるとたくさん食った気になって1個かそこらで満足しちゃうんですよね。
あれ、じゃあ6個もあったら困るんじゃないの？無理強いしちゃった？
ああ、
Actually, let me see that definition again. 相手の嫌がること。Okay, forcing someone to do what they don't like. 強てさせること。無理強いし。
ああ、
無理強いしちゃった？
あ、いやいや、桃は大丈夫です。ケンジの大好物なんでたまにはうまいの食わせてやりたいし。
筧さんとこってさ、
はい。
話聞いてるとケンジって焼きもち焼きみたいだし、筧さんの方がクールで冷たいのかなと思ってたんだけど。
It's not canal. What am I thinking? Kanate. There's canal, but shouldn't be that one unless there's a different meaning for it I don't recall. Conform to. Probably it's that one. Okay, conform to. Canal. Kanate. Actually, I tell you what, let me do a little bit better than that. Come back here. Sometimes it's good to use the Kenkyusha dictionary, and yeah, they're not listing it. That's unfortunate. Okay. Where are we at? There we go.
筧さんの方がクールで冷たいのかなと思ってたんだけど、違うのかもね。
違う。
いや、哲さんのせいじゃないです。本当に。俺が最初にシロさんに説明しとけばよかったんです。
いや。
ああいう店で4人で食事とかって、俺シロさんの気持ち分かってなかったなって。とにかく今日相談できるかもう一度頼んでみますね。ええ、わかりました。失礼します。
Now, again, you can kind of see that's what a healthy couple can do. He's understanding the why Kenji, or why, I'm sorry, Takei, why Shiro was upset. And, again, just he didn't explain the situation properly. Basically, he was putting a surprise on him. In addition to picking a restaurant where he knows right now he's still not comfortable, going out in public, like broad public like that, because he's more concerned with the opinions of others, whereas, Kenji isn't. So I think that's a very healthy way of demonstrating what a healthy couple can do. Being realizing the feelings and opinions of the other, and then, and acknowledging that, while then again trying to stay, true to oneself as well.
筧さん、結構大事にしてるのよね。ケンジのこと。
大事にしてるのかもしれませんね。確かに今あいつと別れたら俺の方がダメージでかいんだろうな。俺の方がダメージでかいんだろうな。
そうなの？
実際今はケンジの方が俺に惚れてると思いますよ。
I keep looking at that because I'm wondering, like, if that's a full phrase, but it's not. And that should be Dekai, like just a lot large image.
もし別れ、実際今はケンジの方が俺に惚れてると思いますよ。もし別れたら3ヶ月くらい泣き暮らすのはあいつの方ですよ。
自信あるのね。
でもそれだけ情が深いってことは惚れっぽいっていうことでもあって、さっさと次の誰かを好きになるのは間違いなくケンジなんですよ。一方で俺が次の相手を探すとなると厄介です。まずゲイのマッチングアプリに登録して でお互い条件があった相手とちまちまやり取りして。
ちまちま。小さいですね。ちま。お互いの条件。
まずゲイのマッチングアプリに登録して、でお互い条件があった相手とちまちまやり取りして、じゃあどっかで会いましょうってなるけど、そう簡単にドンピシャな相手に会えるわけじゃない。
ドンピシャ。ああ、ドンピシャ。
そう簡単にドンピシャな相手に会えるわけじゃない。でまた別の人を探してっていうのを繰り返すわけです。
うわ、結構めんどくさい。
そう。
It could probably happen in any relationship, trying to search for a person to match up with instead of doing one night stands or just surface level hookups.
はっきり言ってめんどくさい。
Because again, they've been living together for 3 years now. So I mean, again, that's a long-term relationship. It's close to a marriage as you can get without it being one.
40半ばで一から恋愛するなんてめんどくさくて俺もう嫌なんですよ。俺も嫌なんですよ。俺も40半ばで一から恋愛するなんてめんどくさくて俺も嫌なんですよ。だから俺はあいつとは絶対に別れたくないんです。
素直じゃないな。この桃だってケンジを喜ばせたくて買ったわけでしょ。
いや、それはそういう努力をしないと簡単に切れる関係だからですよ。そういう努力をしないと簡単に切れる関係だからですよ。結婚とか簡単に別れられない社会的な契約も責任も何もないですからね、俺たちは。結婚とか簡単に別れられない社会的な契約も責任も何もないですからね、俺たちは。
あ、なるほど。でもね、別れないための努力を惜しまないって素敵よ。夫婦なんてそういうのないんだから。一個負け。
ありがとうございます。
I'll add, there was an issue a few years back where pension was not considered part of the marriage property in Japan. So if a husband and wife divorced, if the husband had a pension and the wife didn't, what would happen? The husband would keep the pension. There'd be no. So basically, the wife could have spent years in the house, again creating a social structure for the husband to work. So again, it was a community property, in my opinion. But since that was it was under financial control of the husband, that would prevent couples from getting divorced, especially the wife from an abusive relationship. Because again, the financial status. Imagine you're like 50 or 60s, and again, you've got nothing to fall back on. That could like make the idea of getting a divorce, even from something that's like a toxic or even abusive relationship, from not happening. So I think they did change rules where now, again, a wife could, as part of a divorce settlement, sue for pension or a version of spousal support. I think, again, I haven't really followed up on that. It's similar to like when I think I've mentioned this in the military. Like part of the thing is military pension. I've heard some people do some really stupid stuff because they're under the impression that, oh, if you're married for 10 years, then half your pension goes to the spouse. It's not that. The pension has always been part of the marriage property. The rule was changed was that what the spouse could sue is that then the payments can go directly to the spouse, as opposed to it where the payment would have to go from the retired military member because they're getting the pension, then paying it to the spouse. So that was the ex-spouse. That was the change. People misunderstood that, thinking, 10 years in, they automatically get half. It wasn't necessarily that case. And again, it's a part of community property. It's like same reason when you pay into a house. Again, you married, so you're saying, hey, look, you've merged the financial, again, your financial means together. maybe one can then do a job and the other one can do the parts that don't have a type of a financial compensation, but it's still, if a outsider had done it, you would expect to get paid. If someone made meals, cleaned houses, took care of children that wasn't your spouse, you'd expect there would be some type of payment going about. So by that happening, because again, with that happening, you've improved the life of not only yourself but also the family or those who continue on your bloodline. Okay, it kind of makes sense. There's why there needs to be a commingling of financial assets, and why it should be considered a dual loan, especially stuff that developed during the marriage. So again, if you get married young, one's in the military, that develops. It makes sense. The pension is a part of that. I mean, that would be the same as like if that money was being put away in a Roth IRA or some type of what's called TSP, thrift savings plan, kind of like basically a retirement account, a 401k. Then it makes sense. That should be, again, property that is owned by both the husband and wife. So I've seen no problem with that. But I've heard some stupid stuff. Like one guy, he purposely retired, or he didn't retire. He purposely got out at 18 years because he hated the idea of half of his pension going to his spouse. So he'd rather get nothing than 50% of something. That he'd rather have 100% of nothing than get 50% of something. Just on the idea. So you can tell this guy was you can probably tell why this lady wanted to divorce this guy if he was that arrogant and conceited and stupid. But okay, I'm getting a little off track. This is going to come to, by the way, what I'm saying here is going to come into play with the couple that we just saw them having dinner with, for a different reason.
いただきます。
Shiro, I cannot make that out. 急で悪いだけど。I'm just gonna cheat. I don't normally like doing this, but okay. また急で悪いんだけど、よし君とテツさんが今晩うちに来たいって言ってるんだけど、いいかな？
え？
昨日できなかった話、どうしても早くしたい。Okay. So again, there was more about the dinner. Had much more to do than just having a dinner. They did want to have a conversation, and it seemed like a very important conversation. Mom, Shiro?
そうは言っても何も出さないわけにはいかないだろう。
Let me make sure I can. Okay. 来る時間を教えて。I kind of like it better when they, at least with that, they do a voiceover, so you can kind of, I mean, you're reading the text, I get that, but also you're kind of hearing what they're saying, so it does feel like a conversation is going on, and that's that happens, by the way. Now, I mean, I think they started doing that more. I think the first one I saw doing it was Sherlock, the BBC version about a decade or so ago, but yeah, I think that's when I started seeing it happen more often, like incorporating smartphone communication as part of the TV conversation. They're trying to do it in a very clever way.
何を食わせればいいんだ。調味料までオーガニックにこだわるような2人だぞ。
That's spices. Chomiro is spices, right? Seasoning flavor.
めんつゆと顆粒だ。
Right.
でほぼほぼ乗り、調味料までオーガニックにこだわるような2人だぞ。めんつゆと顆粒だしでほぼ
めんつゆ。顆粒。
ほぼ乗り切る俺の料理なんか食わせられるのか。
Harmonic market, organic groceries. I get the feeling that's not at the more of a special occasion.
ブロッコリー1個430円、ピーマン1袋350
Piman? Ah,
円、卵1パック980円、豆腐1パック1260円。無理だ。やめたやめた。何見え張ってんだ俺は。
ミヘンバル。何ミヘンバル？待ってんだ。
やめたやめた。何見え張ってんだ俺は。こういうことにうろたえるからダメなんだ。
うろたえる。See if there's a kanji for that. うろたえる。So that one's wondering. Let's see. No, actually, wolf. Okay, and this one, another wolf. Really? Huh? I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay. うろたえる。うろたえる。
めんつゆ顆粒だし上等じゃないか。
You see it in Okami, but yeah, okay. Where are we at? Minsu and yeah.
めんつゆ顆粒だし上等じゃないか。さてと時間ないぞ。朝のうちに米研いでいってよかった。まずはナスとパプリカだな。ナス3本を縦に切って種を抜いて輪切りにした鷹の爪と
Okay, boil the. That's the ingredients, right? Tane? That's the seeds, right? Zario to narumo. Stop.
種を抜いて輪切りにした鷹の爪と
Wagiri, cut into circles, right? Round slices, wagiri.
種を抜いて輪切りにした鷹の爪と
Oh, okay, got it. All right. Wagiri ni shita take no tsume.
オリーブオイルでざっと炒める。さらにパプリカ2個の細切りを入れて水、酒とみりん少々、鶏ガラスープの素、醤油。
Torigara soup. Super. Okay. Torigara soup.
鶏ガラスープの素、醤油で味付けする。
So it's making minestrone soup.
蓋をして蒸し煮にしてナスとパプリカがくったりしたら出来上がり。
Sorry. You hear that again?
ナスとパプリカがくったりしたら出来上がり。次は筑前煮。
Chikuzenni. Chicken stew with taro, carrot, what's tori niku to satoimo, taro, satoimo, 人参、人参、ごぼう。OK。筑前煮。
次は筑前煮。
筑前煮。
こんにゃく2分の1枚を
Konyaku? I haven't had that. I usually have that in the sukiyaki. Konyaku.
一口大にちぎって湯がく。
Dokuchidai. Dokuchidai.
こんにゃく2分の1枚を一口大にちぎって湯がく。
See if that's a full phrase. Kuchidai. No. Chigite. I think it's like chigiru means pull apart. Yeah, pulling apart. Yusakide, komokaku kite. Tear it to pieces. Chigite.
こんにゃく2分の1枚を一口大にちぎって湯がく。
Chigite. You got it. Good.
水につけておいた干し椎茸3枚を4等分して、人参2分の1本とごぼう2分の1本。
Okay. Hoshishitake? Yeah. So I assume that, so the shiitake mushrooms were the dry ones that he stored into the water for overnight to then absorb. So I think that's what they mean. Mizunitsukete. So this is the whole. I think that's the whole phrase for it. Let's see. Nope, they're not giving it.
レンコンの人参2分の1本と水につけておいた干し椎茸3枚を4等分して、人参2分の1本とごぼう2分の1本。レンコンの小さいのを乱切りに。
2分の1本。half a carrot of sticks, half a carrot, half a rootstock.
これは酢水につけておこう。これレンコンの小さいのを乱切りに。
Renkon. I know that's a root, right? Lotus root.
これは酢水につけておこう。
Sumizu. Vinegar water? Diluted. Sumizu.
これは酢水につけておこう。タケノコの水煮と鶏もも肉1枚は一口大に。
Okay, so those are all just basically mouth-sized pieces. Everything's got the mouth-sized pieces.
生姜2かけは粗みじんに切っておく。
Aramijin. I know it's like cutting the very small pieces. Leftovers.
生姜2かけは粗みじんに切っておく。厚手の鍋を中火にかけて。
Atsute?
サラダ油を厚手の鍋を中火にかけてサラダ油を引き生姜を炒める。
So salad oil and shoga or ginger, cooking it in the pan.
生姜の香りが立ってきた。そこに鶏肉を入れてさっと炒めて周りが白くなったら、そこに鶏肉を入れてさっと炒めて周りが白くなったら、一旦取り出して砂糖と醤油大さじ2杯を絡めておく。砂糖と醤油大さじ2杯を絡めておく。で、鍋はこのまま使ってごま油でごぼうと人参を炒める。さらにたけのこ、こんにゃく、れんこん、干し椎茸を加えて炒める。全部の具材に油が回ったら、 全部の具材に油が回ったら干し椎茸の戻し汁を 300cc くらい入れて砂糖を大さじ1、そして殿下の宝刀のめんつゆを投入。
殿下の宝刀、大々家のTrump card。殿下の宝刀、the legendary sword of the family. Okay。
そして殿下の宝刀のめんつゆを投入。
めんつゆ。
汁気がなくなってきたら
汁気がなく、
汁気がなくなってきたら鶏肉を戻し入れて完全に煮汁がなくなるまで煮たら筑前煮の完成。
筑前煮完成。There it is again. 筑前煮。
筑前煮の完成と、塩鮭を焼いておかなきゃ。
塩鮭？
塩鮭を焼いておかなきゃ。
Salted salmon. I really like that. 塩鮭。
よし、じゃあ寿司に取り掛かるか。
Now you find that actually sushi is not about the fish, the raw fish on top. Sushi is the vinegared rice. So that notice that in the next scene.
2合の飯に
Nigo just means 2 scoops. It would be a go, so Nigo would be like 2 of the scoops, but he can also sell it in the bags. I'm pretty sure for him though, he has the box of rice to grab from.
寿司酢2合分入れて2合の飯に寿司酢2合分入れて酢飯を作っておく。
Yeah, so sushizu. What they're not saying that. Sushizu.
2合の飯に寿司酢2合分入れて酢飯を作っておく。
Sumeshi. I like that. Sumeshi.
きゅうり2本を小口切りにして
Koguchigiri. So, okay, kuchigiri. So thin slice, thick slice, medium slice. Okay. Koguchigiri.
塩小さじ1をきゅうり2本を小口切りにして塩小さじ1を振ってなじませておく。
Naji. Najimaseru. Najimaseru.
塩小さじ1を振ってなじませておく。塩少々入れた卵2個分。多めのごま油で炒り卵を作る。多めのごま油で炒り卵を作る。
Iri tamago. I wonder if that's a full phrase. Iri tamago. Scrambled eggs. Okay.
多めのごま油で炒り卵を作る。
Iri tamago. Scooter.
焼いた塩鮭を焦げが入らないように皮と骨を取ってほぐして酢飯に混ぜ込む。
So take out the bones of the salmon. I guess they're going to crush it and then mix it in. So it's, yeah, right there. Yeah. Mazekomu.
酢飯に混ぜ込む。
Sumeshi mazekomu. So the eggs, the salmon, and mix it into the vinegared rice.
最後に塩でしんなりしたのを洗ってよく。
Where's the saigoni? Shinnari shita. しんなりした。Okay.
よく水気を絞った最後に塩でしんなりしたのを洗ってよく水気を絞ったきゅうりを入れて、たっぷりいりごまを加えて、
いりごま。
たっぷりいりごまを加えて、鮭と卵ときゅうりの混ぜ寿司の出来上がり。
My wife has made that before. It's really good. It's she kind of make it for more of a lunchtime brunch, like a family gathering. You know, hey, take a little scoop and eat, or you also then pack it into obento. Really good. And you saw it's like a little, not too complicated, you know, because again, make the vinegar rice, you know, prepare the salmon, you know, cut the cucumbers in small slices and salt it a little bit, let it set for a bit, then squeeze out the extra juice to mix it all in together. And the eggs, prepare the eggs. Yeah, and you saw it's fairly simple, and it's just a version of sushi. I mean, because you can do sushi, you know, vinegared rice with salmon, vinegar rice with cucumbers, vinegar rice with eggs. That's all, you know, that's very normal types of sushi you can have. It's not just necessarily raw fish. Sushi just refers to the vinegared rice and then what you serve on top of it.
あとはブロッコリーあったな。
このブロッコリーには叩いた梅干し1個分とマヨネーズ、わさび、みりん、醤油少々を混ぜたソースを添える。
Yeah, so again, I've mentioned this before. This makes a very good paste. Let me hear that again.
叩いた梅干し1個分。
叩いた。So I guess it's the version of it. But yeah, umeboshi, plum.
分とマヨネー
Okay, cool.
ズ、わさび、みりん、醤油少々を混ぜたソースを添える。
Now, my wife has prepared that, but not with the umeboshi. She does the rest of it, but she didn't add the umeboshi. But yeah, so mayonnaise, shoyu, and wasabi. It makes a very good, you know, been using it on broccoli. And she got the idea from this show.
あとは汁物か。タイムアップか。仕方ない。昨日の作り置きの
Kenjiたちの話これ。
昨日の作り置きのカブのやつでいいか。
あら、シロさんしっかり作ってくれたんだ。
お邪魔します。
こんばんは。あ、昨日に引き続いて急に押しかけてすいません。
いえいえ。
引き続いて continuing something, right? Okay.
あ、昨日に引き続いて急に押しかけてすいません。
いえいえ。
これよかったらコインにしてるワイナリーから直々に取り寄せてるもので、これは
コイン新しくしていること遠慮のNot quite getting what that means. So kind of okay. コイン There we go. 親切な心 there. Okay. コイン out of consideration. All right. Oh, it was. I was saying atarashi. I was saying shitashiku. Shitashiku shiteiru koto. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing very bad about the Japanese definitions.
コインにしてるワイナリーから直々に取り寄せてるもので。コインにしてるワイナリーから直々に取り寄せてるもので、これはすっごく出来がいいんですよ。
ありがとうございます。
すみません。
あ、白ですか。ちょうどよかった。もしよかったら一緒に飯食ってってください。
シロさん手伝うよ。
あ、いいから座ってろ。
本当いいの？
なんかお料理いっぱいでびっくりしちゃった。ああ、そう。期待してて。
はあ。これはうまそうだね。
食べよう食べよう。
じゃあまず乾杯から。はい。乾杯。おいしい。
口に合います？
もう合う合う。
じゃあ遠慮なくいただきます。
いただきます。
いただきます。お皿どうぞ。しかしこのメニュー、ごちそうっぽいタンパク質のメインが一切ない。
はい。
タンパク。I know that was the summit protein. There we go.
ごちそうっぽいタンパク質のメインが一切ない。
はい。
大丈夫だったか？
Well, it's probably saying like, mainly the chicken or maybe a steak or something or pork.
筑前煮か。
筑前煮。
こういうのはいいよね。
And again, chicken zenni, I've had that before also. It's also very good. It's kind of cool now that I'm seeing all these foods and meals I've been eating all this time because again, my wife really good at cooking. I would say is that I'm actually like seeing it done and I can appreciate it even more. Hopefully, maybe even help out. I don't see that happening. It'd be good if I learned, make some of the simpler dishes.
うまい。生姜が効いててそれがいい。
Where are we at there? うまい。
生姜が効いててそれがいい。
ねえ、シロさん料理上手でしょ。俺この鮭とキュウリと卵のお寿司大好きなんだよね。
Yeah, that right there. And because of the wasabi, it's going to have a very definitely clear the sinuses if you maybe add a little too much wasabi. But it's a really good flavor. I like doing it. And you don't have to like smother the broccoli, just a little bit. Like the one he's maybe putting a little bit too much, I think, but just a little bit for it's just I like broccoli anyway. Yeah, so he's definitely identifying.
このわさび、
やっぱり中ぶりのわさびはあれですか？
いやうまい。ピリリとアクセントになっててとてもいい。
ピリリと。ピリリ。there we go. ピリリ。ピリリとアクセント。
ピリリとアクセントになっててとてもいい。このソースはわさびと梅干しとマヨネーズですか？
いや、梅干し麺。
あと。
このソースはわさびと梅干しとマヨネーズですか？
あとみりんがちょっと入ってます。
みりん。なるほど。
Again, then that's sake and sweetened sake.
このカブにあんかけがかかったのも
different kabu. There we go.
このカブにあんかけがかかったのも
あんかけがGood.
このカブにあんかけがかかったのも優しい味で僕は好きだな。よし君、今度こういうの作ってくれる？
いいよ。筧氏、これもみりんと白だしですか？
ええ、市販のごく普通の白だしです。
なるほど。
なんでこんなに緊張しなきゃいけないんだ俺。
筧さん、
その寿司はですね、寿司酢もごく市販の。
いや、どの料理も本当に美味しいですね。
素晴らしい。
Yeah, so here's where it kind of gets a little heavy. The storyline gets a little heavy.
は
今日は本当こんなにごちそうになるとは思ってなかったんですけども、いや本当にお手間かけました。
手間かけました。本当に手間かけました。
実は前からご相談したいことがあったんですが、今お話ししてもよろしいですか？
は
僕ね59なんですけど、何軒か飲食店を経営していて、
Wow, okay.
経営の方もまあまあうまくいってる方だと思います。
All right, Okay, so he's very well off. Okay.
何軒か飲食店を経営していて、経営の方もまあまあうまくいってる方だと思います。それで多少財産と呼べるものもあります。
There's a lot of property also.
それをね、全てよし君に渡したいって思っているんです。
But it's going to mention the problem. That sounds like a straightforward thing to do, right? But in Japan, it's not so straightforward. So that's why this is kind of an interesting storyline.
それでね、遺言書を作ろうと思ったんですが、
Making a will, right?
僕の両親は2人ともまだ健在でね。
They still exist. Yeah, they're still alive. Make sure that. Jobuka, yeah, so still alive and healthy. 両親が2人ともまだ健在。
僕の両親は2人ともまだ健在でね。だからもし僕が今すぐ死んだ場合、遺言書があったとしても、
ご両親には3分の1の遺留分があります。
遺留分。法律必ずyeah, no, that's your what's the term for it? Your inheritance or something. Legally, yeah, okay. The portion the heir will be legally entitled portion. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to have there are going to be some legal terminologies here, but I think it's kind of interesting because of the story.
ご両親に
遺言書があったとしても、
ご両親には3分の1の遺留分があります。テスさんの財産の3分の1はお父様とお母様の元に渡ります。
そうなんです。それで僕が歯を食いしばって貯めた金を。
Struggling, I think I'm going to guess that this means like he had to grind his teeth in order to earn this money, but bear up to, stand up to pain and temper. Okay. 歯を食いしばって
貯めた金を。
歯を食いしばって。So 食い instead of 食い is 歯を食いしばって。歯を食いしばって。I think it's 歯を食いしばって。歯を食いしばって。Let me hear that again.
歯を食いしばって貯めた金を。ごめんなさい。また田舎の両親にビタ一文渡したくないんです。
Not one bit. ビタ一文。1 cent. ビタ一文。渡したくないです。
ビタ一文渡したくないんです。よし君とは養子縁組をしようと思ってます。
He wants to adopt him. 養子縁組。
養子縁組をしようと思ってます。
養子縁組をしようと思ってます。
そうですね。よしさんが哲さんの養子になれば相続人はよしさん一人になります。
今度よし君と二人で。
Oh, by the way, so this is not uncommon in Japan of having an adult adopted. You may have heard it, or maybe you've not, but you might have like very large families. Let's just say Toyota, which is a family. If I understand correctly, Sumitomo and whatnot. These are like essentially, again, technically family-owned companies. But what they'll do, someone who might be proving themselves very good in the company, rose to the ranks, and actually, in vice presidential positions, whatnot. What they might do, because they want the person to become president of the company, but if they're not a part of the family, it's not really family run anymore. So what they'll do, they'll adopt this adult male or female into the family. Now this person is Sumitomo or whatever the family name happens to be, to run the family business. It sounds like a weird situation, I guess. I mean, it does kind of sound weird, but it kind of makes sense in a way as well. And what they're trying to do here is like, because he's adopted, he can leave everything to his adopted son, and not have to. He doesn't have to give a third, 2/3 of it, 1/3 to his father, 1/3 to his mother, because they happen to still be alive. You can kind of tell that he's estranged from his parents, and even though he's 59 years old, his parents are probably in their 80s. He does not want to leave anything to them, probably because of conflict that he's run into, probably because of his. I'm assuming, you assume it's because of his sexual status, but it could be some other things as well. And whatnot. Like I said, I mean, I wouldn't. There's it depends on family members where you don't get to choose your family members, and the whole thing, blood is thicker than water. So the blood of battle, friendship born of the blood of battle is stronger than the bonds of the water of the womb. Basically, the brother. The ones you've shared blood in battle is stronger than the just because you happen to be shared the same womb. My understanding of the longer version of that. So in another way of saying, like you're not forced to have connections, keep connections to the family. Just because it's family. But as again, I mean, there's some reasons to depend on that, depending on what unless like what sacrifices have been made, you're being reasonable there. I'm assuming though this guy is a very successful businessman. He seems like a very nice person. So him wanting to do this must be, he must strongly believe it.
筧さんの事務所を伺っても今度よし君と二人で筧
Let me make sure where I'm at. There we are.
今度よし君と二人で筧さんの事務所を伺ってもよろしいですか。
筧氏は職場では構うとしていないそうなので、いきなり私たちのようなものが言ったら迷惑じゃないかと思いましてね。
事務所にいらしてください。お二人の希望通りになるよう力を尽くします。
ありがとうございます。
Now, what you would do in the U.S. is a little bit different. There'd be no problem with you leaving everything to a third person you're not even married to or his family. That's not a problem. But what you need to make sure you do is like you don't leave nothing to family. What you give them is like a little bit to say you thought about it. So you might give each of the relatives, let's say $5,000. Let's say you're like worth millions, so you just leave them each five. That means that you thought about it. This is what you feel they're deserved. It's not like you completely forgot about them. Like, oh my God, you didn't realize that this person was through your family because of dementia. No. Like, hey, this person got left $5,000, which is a substantial sum, and that's what they got left over. And it allows you to make sure they were included in the will, and you thought about it. You think this is what they deserve. And it's harder to then have the will contested because again, you were mentioned in the will and you were given a sizable amount. It wasn't a percentage of the total, but again, one's not required to leave a set percentage to, except in obviously Japan would be different. But again, this is we're talking about U.S. Japan, like I said, it's surprising me that if the parents are alive, like they're usually it's like it's left to the children, you would assume, or to the spouse. But obviously, they're right now same-sex marriages. I think it's still not recognized in Japan. I think I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it still is not recognized. So that could be the case there, where they're saying, well, no, this doesn't. You can't leave this to them. You have to. Again, you have surviving family members. You know this has to go to them as well. And you can't make a statement against that. It sounds kind of weird, but again, it's just the way the laws have to be written at the time. If that's still the law, I think it'd be reasonable to update it. It should be reasonable to have that updated where it's like, you should have now again, I'm saying this as a person who feels that when you're dealing with anything above 5 million, I'm put it this way, I don't like the idea of leaving like fortunes to one person, create generational wealth. I'm not a big believer in that. Now, not like, so what I would say is like anything up to 5 million for me personally. I think anything up to, I have no problem like anything up to $5 million passed on through gifts or inheritance to another person. That person don't tax that person up to $5 million. I'm kind of cool with that idea. Beyond that, we start taxing up to 70%. So we're saying like, there's this 5 million. Where the idea is like you've got enough where you can do anything, but not so much you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to do anything. Where you can do anything, but you don't where you can get away with doing nothing. That idea. In addition to if you got like vast generational wealth, then of course then you have the ability to, because of so much money, you just essentially steamroll over anybody else who's trying to make a way into the world. You can't avoid that. And also I like the idea by spreading out wealth like that. We're talking billions being spread out, 1 billionaire's wealth being, say, given to one person or just a small group of people, given it among to hundreds, then, again, that in my opinion, also improves the economy as well. Because if you got one person with $1 billion, let's say you give one person $1 billion, or 200 people, make sure I'm doing that right, $5 million. So one person 1 million, or 200 people 5 million. The 200 people with 5 million do far better for the economy because, again, first off, they're going to be spending, investing, and probably have separate families and whatnot, helping support and whatnot. And then you still got the billion in the economy. It's just being controlled and compete. You got 200 different people that are kind of fighting over it in a way, competing in the way the marketplace works. Eventually maybe one person will gather it back up into $1 billion, but it's just like, hey, just gather it back up. Hey, you done great. Now you just kind of spread it out a little bit more. We're not saying give it away, give $1 billion people, a dollar to $1 billion people. We're not going to almost do anything, but it's something like that. And you're not forcing it. What you do is you encourage it through taxes. Like, hey, if you want to give somebody the entire amount, sure, but a majority of it's going to be taxed at 70%. Yeah, you might think, maybe I don't need to give it all to one person. Let's give it out. That way the government's not, you can actually say, hey, you want the government to not get any of it? Give it away. Make sure 200 people receive it as opposed to just one person receiving it. It's kind of an opinion I've had for a while now. I think it's reasonable.
よかった。
And yeah, no, I'm over an hour, 10 minutes. I got 5 minutes left, and I keep talking like this. But anyway, it's a good episode. I mean, I thought I thought that was a very sweet scene there. It's a kind of a heavy scene, and you kind of think about the emotions that are going into it. You know, you were kind of a fighting, and then he realized like this was an important dinner to have. He wasn't being his, you know, again, Kenji was not being selfish or not thinking about the situation fully. Like this was something important that needed to be talked about. And okay, I think it was kind of cool.
いいよ。あと俺やるから。シロさん疲れたでしょ。いろいろ作って。
別にいつもの飯と一緒だ。
そっか。
初めから言えよ。あの人たちがそういう目的で俺と会いたがってたって。そうしたら俺だって。
ごめん。いや
違う、謝るなっていうのはそういうことじゃなくて。
謝るくらいなら最初からもっと考えて行動すべきだよね。分かってる。シロさんと俺は考え方が違う。いつも言われてるのに学習しないの。
All right, let me get caught back up. I got distracted by something.
I つも言われる。シロさんと俺は考え方が違う。いつも言われてるのに学習しないの。ことダメだよね。今度から気をつける。
学習能力しない。OK。学習しない。
夜のうちに瓶とか出してきちゃうね。
違う。
違う。
俺が苛立ってるのはケンジに対してじゃない。
苛立ってる？苛立つ。I don't think that way. I don't think the same. Can't say.
違う。俺が苛立ってるのはケンジに対してじゃない。ここまで生きてきて未だにゲイっぽく見られたくないとか、バレたくないとかうじうじ考えてる。そうバレたくないとかうじうじ考えてる。そういう器の小さい俺自身に腹を立ててるんだよ。俺はこのまま帰ってこないってこともなくはないんだよな。
I know it could have spread forward to these parts because they're not talking. But again, you know, so you can sometimes. Now I usually set the trash out in the morning instead of like on the way to if I need to go somewhere.
おはよう、シロさん。今日も早いの？
ああ、冷蔵庫に朝飯しまってあるから。じゃあな。
うん、ありがとう。いってらっしゃい。ああ、ねえねえシロさん。今日の夕飯のリクエスト、俺シロさんのハンバーグ食べたいな。玉ねぎ炒めてないやつ。
Oh, nice.
あれ美味しいんだよね。
So it's not hamburger, humbug. So the big, thick hamburger steak, ground beef. I mean, still ground beef, but I keep. It's just so like I always think hamburger, so it's hamburger, hambug. So yeah, it's just you got to learn it.
玉ねぎシャキシャキで。
Shuck, shuck. Crispy, shuck, shuck.
なんか急にあれ美味しいんだよね。玉ねぎシャキシャキで。なんか急に食べたくなっちゃった。でもね、シロさん作って。
分かったよ。
やった痛い痛いいってらっしゃい。
行ってきます。そうなんだよな。ああいう何気ない仲直りの仕方、俺に教えてくれたのはあいつなんだよ。悔しいんだよな。俺もいつかあいつみたいになれる日が来るんだろうか。
Yeah, it would be really good for breakfast.
甘い。
I just think, like, as a kid, I've only had canned peaches. So it's like the canned peaches was that thick syrup that they would store it in. So it's like I always had this like more of a negative opinion of it. When you have like a fresh peach like that, it is just a different experience. So I definitely recommend trying that. And again, with little cream cheese, and maybe even wrapped in a little piece of like salted ham, really good.
シロさんが俺のために。俺すっごく愛されてる。
Actually, kind of weird. I actually got a copyright hit from the last episode I did on this. All 6 episodes, there was like nothing. Number 7, for some reason, there was like 20 seconds of a hit. I don't know why.
シロさん、今日モテモテだったんだ。
俺とお揃いで指輪買ってやるっつったらどうする？品数多くおかず作ってんのは
Shina kanzu. A lot of different varieties, styles, number of styles. Shina kanzu.
ケンジがいるから品数多くおかず作ってんのはケンジがいるからなんだよな。
There we go. All right, and yeah, we're back still about an hour 15 minutes, even with me taking like a couple of kind of long breaks discussing some aspects of it, like leaving like alimony or alimony, spousal support, leaving wills to again, I was talking about those subjects. I think this was a kind of a good episode. I mean, obviously the cooking part was just I'm enjoying that part just because again, I've seen I try to watch what my wife does. I have no idea what she's really doing because I don't know what these ingredients are or what she's actually doing or the steps that she's taking when she's preparing it and whatnot. But the so that part I like from this TV show. So this is just for that alone, this TV show is worth studying. But this part where again it's very brief, it wasn't that detailed, but he kind of mentioned, he kind of saw the emotion of the scene, where again this older couple, obviously in love with each other, and have decided they are the one they are the again lifelong partners, but because of the way Japanese society, Japanese laws work, they have to go kind of do this kind of weird situation of adoption. But just so he can legally leave, it should something unforeseen happen to him, he can leave. He can leave his estate to this person he chose to live his life with, and not to maybe a couple of people who have cut him out of his life for like the last however many decades. So it kind of makes sense there. And however you may feel like, oh no, you should always respect your parents even though there's fights and whatnot. It's easier to say than we don't know what the person experienced. Obviously, again, this is written up. This might be based, I can imagine, by the way, this is based on something that happened in real life. I can imagine someone had this experience and related to the author, and the author's kind of relating it via the manga and then later on in the TV show. I can imagine that. You can see things like that kind of happening. It's not as necessary in the U.S. because the way the laws are a bit more open that way with who you can leave. As long as their taxes are paid, that really U.S. doesn't care. But yeah, in Japan, that can be serious. Even child custody. Again, that's Japan's kind of different than other. They would say if one spouse is a Japanese citizen, the other spouse is not a citizen. If, as far as concerned, divorce happens, it's a child stays with the one parent in Japan. They're not going to authorize joint custody or something. Not authorize, but they're not going to. If one of the parents wants, again, sole custody, they're going to approve it and not allow a child visitation. They're going to basically the child is completely removed from the other spouse's life, supposedly, and that's caused some issue. And that again, that's where you have countries get involved. That's where, and again, that's the importance of. I can say when you have to deal with embassies and dealing with again the state departments of every country's kind of dealing with each other, because this is kind of important, because you want your citizens of countries to interact as well, but you want to, if there's conflict, you want to make sure there's resolution there, and there's really no court you can go to when it's a conflict between countries. Of course, in this case, it's not a conflict between citizens of different countries. In this case, this is the conflict between someone who wants dealing with someone who wants to be his partner, legal partner, and instead having to deal with the situation that the law is written. And one thing also you notice about Japan, they're very good about, if there's a law but there's a way around it, they got no problem with you going around the law legally, as long as you do it legally. Hence the reason why pachinko parlors exist, even though gambling is illegal in Japan, or organized gambling outside of, I think, horse tracks. Even though that's technically illegal, hey, you're not doing it for money. You're doing it for this little thing that you then go next door and trade that thing for money. There you go. But you didn't do it for money. So that's the workaround. Prostitution is very similar. Where, hey, you know what? It's once you're in the room together, it's a deal between two persons. You didn't advertise sex, you advertised massage, health, right? And then later on, what you do in the room is your own thing. It's between adults. Japan doesn't get involved. That sort of thing. It's kind of like there's what's on the law, but then there's the reality of the situation, which they don't always mesh. Yeah, I probably got demonetized as mentioning about this stuff. Maybe it's briefly, by the way, but maybe it's just because certain keywords I'm saying on the live stream. And I went back and looked. A lot of the Shinya Shokudo videos, they have been whatever they had for restrictions for advertising. That's all lifted now. It's back to normal again. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but just it is what it is. I don't know what to say. Cool. Yeah, we're at an hour again. These are very long videos. And this didn't. But I think it was good. Like I said, I like a series that encourages you to talk about stuff or think about stuff. I mean, this means it's a very good show. Yeah, Shinya Shokudo, it seems kind of light in, I don't know, there's not as much to talk about. You know, you kind of see it, you kind of say, yeah, okay, that's kind of funny, that's kind of humorous and whatnot. Then you just go on to the next episode. This one, you know, part of it is like looking at the cooking, but yeah, just, you know, how couples behave with each other. I think that's very useful, and it's a way I would describe it. These are kind of you know, they're different persons. You're trying to get used to it on how what each one is like, but you know, they care for each other, love each other their own ways. And you know, they were mentioning how right now, you know, if they break up, really he can kick him out of the apartment and there's not a goddamn thing he can do about it, as far as Japanese law is concerned, supposedly. It's his apartment, it's his name on the lease, whatever it is. Bye. You know, they can separate, go their way, and there is nothing. Like anything they've helped with each other to build a life with, as far as concerned, it all belongs to one guy. That's kind of a scary situation to be in, as opposed, in a way, it's like and it might have helped a lot of relationships when they legalized same-sex marriage in the U.S. In that because again, you know, if you represent as a population of 5% or whatnot, maybe not that high, but of those that want to get, not only are, you know, involved in same-sex relationships, but want to then get married, so it's probably much lower than that. But yeah, it's like, make sure there's legal protections. Like, hey, this is a legal relationship, and all the things that that goes with that. And then when you separate that, then hey, you've got to make sure, hey, you know, there's equitable distribution of the property that was commingled. That just makes complete sense, personally, you know, just, and I think that's kind of good. It was one of the complaints about it. It's like, you shouldn't make it because you're going to run into all the problems that we have. It's like, well, yeah, but that's kind of the idea. I don't know. I think it's a non-issue now in the U.S. Now they're trying to think of other random crap to complain. There's always some, you know, you got that group of people that got to bitch about something. So they'll find something else. Once you've solved one problem, they'll come up with something else. So they're all about problems, never solutions. All about yelling, never about coming to a peaceful coexistence. I'll leave that there. Thank you all very much. This has been Let's Read Japanese, Ki no Nani食べた, episode 8. So we got 4 more episodes left, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 4 more episodes left. There is a few other episodes. I might do those later. It's not a second season. It's just there's a 3-episode special. So it's not necessarily season 2. There might be a season 2. But yeah, right now there's not. It's just a 3-episode special from what I noticed. I didn't really look that deep into it. I thought it was a new season coming up, but I guess I was wrong. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, like, make a comment about it if you want. Feedback's always good. If you enjoy the series, like to see more, subscribe to the channel. If you like the Let's Learn Japanese project and what I do with the Japanese learning community, support the Patreon. There's the website, and there's also the community Discord. Finally, there's the links if you want to hire me on commission, the daily rates and payments done through Patreon as well. But again, usually it's to help people do it to help them get started. I'll be back with the next episode. I might do one more today. I'm gonna need to contact my wife just to make sure she's on travel. I was planning to be on travel. I just was not feeling good this morning. Still not kind of feeling it, but good enough to do videos, like do a video in front of it, sitting down while the fan's blowing on me with the AC going. I mean, but if I were outside in the heat, I probably would just be collapsing right now. That kind of not feeling good. Yeah, it got really hot in Japan yesterday and today. I mean, it was the rainy season for like almost a couple weeks, and then yesterday the skies cleared up, and boy, it got hot. It got really hot. But that's good. Muggy, hot and muggy. But that's good. That's expected. It's summertime in Japan. Anyway, thank you all very much. I've been Nuke Marine, and I'll see you next time. In fact, let me see how many people were. Still got a couple people watching. Hey guys. By the way, thank you to Antonio Bravo for your comment. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. You probably gave up halfway through or something, but hopefully it was entertaining. And yeah, to everybody else who watched, thanks for that, and I'll see you next time.